Hi, third graders. Welcome to day 2 of our new unit on multiplication. Yesterday, we learned that multiplication has to do with equal groups. If you know the number of groups and the number in each group, you can use those two numbers to set up a multiplication sentence. And then you can solve for the answer or the product. Today, we are going to focus a little bit more on different strategies that you can use to solve. Let's look at the word problem that we'll be working with. Miss Lee saw 4 squirrels on her hike. Each squirrel was carrying 3 acorns. How many acorns were there in all? Sometimes as the problems get a little bit more difficult, I have a hard time deciding which one represents the group and which number represents the number in each group. Here, it doesn't really make sense that there are acorns and then there's the squirrels in each acorn. It's each squirrel was carrying 3 acorns, so you know that the squirrel represents the number of groups, and the number of acorns represent the numbers in each group. So let's put a 4 for the number of groups and 3 for the number in each group. And my multiplication sentence becomes 4 times 3 because the number of groups is always the first number that I write. And then we're solving again for the product or the answer. Yesterday we noticed that there were a lot of friends using these 3 strategies: drawing equal groups, repeated addition, and skip counting. Let's look at drawing equal groups first. Notice how instead of drawing 4 squirrels in detail, I just drew 4 large circles because I don't want to spend a lot of time drawing what the problem is talking about. Instead, drawing large circles represents the big group. And then again, instead of drawing acorns in detail, I just drew 3 smaller circles in each group. To find my product, I can just add or count all of these circles. I like to label the number of acorns that I have at the end of each group so that if I lose my place, I can count on from that last number. So my first group has 3 acorns. I'm going to count on 4, 5, 6. So that shows me after 2 groups, I have 6 acorns, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the answer to this multiplication sentence is 12. I can also use repeated addition. So I need to think about what number is getting repeated and how many times. Since 3 is the number in each group and 4 is the number of groups, that lets me know that 3 is getting added up 4 times. Or there are 4 3s that I need to write down. 1 3, 2 3s, 3 3s, and then 4 3s. I can add this a little bit more efficiently by using my doubles fact. 3 and 3 make 6. The other pair of 3 also makes 6. And then 6 and 6 is another doubles fact that makes 12. I can also skip count. So again, I'm thinking, what number am I skip counting by and how many times? Since there are 4 groups, that lets me know I need to skip count 4 times. And I like to just write that down so that I don't count a wrong number of times. And then I know that 3 is the number in each group, so I'm skip counting by 3s. So my first number is 3. Then if I skip count by 3, I land on 6, 9, and 12. Another way that you can use drawing to find the product of a multiplication sentence is by using arrays. So if you think back to 2nd grade, an array is objects that are organized in rows and columns. So if you look at this picture, this is a picture of an array, and we call this a 3 by 6 array because there are 3 rows and 6 columns. And we can check. There's 1 row, 2 rows, and 3 rows. 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns, 5 columns, and 6 columns. A 3 by 6 array can also be represented by 3 times 6, where the first number represents the number of rows, and then the second number represents the number of columns. So if I want to solve a multiplication sentence, 4 times 3, then that means my array will look something like this, because it's a 4 by 3 array. There are 4 rows, and then there are 3 columns. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's 3 columns, 1, 2, 3. Drawing this array helps me visualize how I want to count the total. I can count one by one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, but because that will take a longer time if my numbers are bigger, instead, looking at this array, I can find ways that I can skip count to be a little bit more efficient with my counting. So if I count along the columns, I can skip count by 3s, or by 4s. I have 4 in my first column going down, then in my next column I will have 8, then in my next column I will have 12. Or I can choose to count along the rows. I have 3 in my first row, then I have 6 in my next row, 9, and 12. So this is how you can use a picture of an array to help you find the product. The problems you will solve today asks you to use a strategy that we talk about in the video. There are 4 different word problems that you need to solve, and at the very top, highlighted in yellow, you'll see the strategy that we want you to use. So for the first problem, it says draw an array as your strategy. So to solve this problem, you are drawing an array as your work. Second problem asks you to use repeated addition. Third problem asks you to draw equal groups, and then the fourth asks you to skip count. Before you start showing your work, fill out the chart and the multiplication sentence first. Knowing the number of groups and the number in each group will help you decide how you need to draw your pictures, how you need to draw your arrays, or how you need to skip count, or how you need to use repeated addition. So complete that first, and then use a whiteboard or piece of paper to show your work. Remember to either upload a picture of your work on each slide, or just one picture at the end for all of your slides.